I'm glad you said that because Rush Limbaugh just stepped in it again. If you heard this from Snerdly, did you hear what Snerdly said on Rush Limbaugh's program? Well, let me hear you. Let you hear some of this. This is what he said.
Why don't you pack up your family, spend your next vacation at a border town in Texas, or better yet, Arizona? Shame on you, Mr. President. Race baiting so early in the campaign season? And now a translation for the EIB brothers and sisters in the hood. Yeah, what up, my homies? Check it out, yo, El Paso. Obama blazed up in there like a total OG, man. Took it to them Republicans like Team 6 took it to Osama. Up all in their grill, dog. Double tapped him. Told him the border's straight up under control, yo. We puppies ain't gonna chill till they get a moat with some gators to keep those Mexies out. Which, you know, all right, I feel that. But you know, there's something about this that just ain't right. You know, if you get your low rider, you roll down south.
All right, so you get the point. This is Rush Limbaugh. This is from this week.
You know, okay, well, let's just start it from the entertainment perspective that comes from, the satire perspective that it comes from. You know, you would expect something very similar from, you know, Saturday Night Live. And certainly when I was chairman, I had a couple of organizations, you know, whether it was Saturday Night Live or Comedy Central, you know, do a parody of me and the like. So I understand that side of it. And I'm not going to take it much beyond that because I get the context of it in terms of entertainment. But having said that, it does, in one sense, you still kind of get on this slope of furthering stereotypes about African Americans that to me is just inappropriate, and it's just one of those things that you, at some point, you just go, okay, we get the joke.
Okay, Rush Limbaugh is widely thought to be a racist. You've gotten into, as Snerdly would say, his grill several times, and you were repudiated for it within the Republican Party. Is Rush Limbaugh a racist? Is he wrong for doing this satire? Yes, no.
Well, no, I don't think. Look, you know, I can't get into the heart of somebody and how they really feel about stuff. I'm not going to sit here and say the man is a racist no more than I would say any number of other people who've said and done things over the last couple of years or so that one could argue to make the same point. You know, I think that, you know, largely that's something that's going to be up to the individual to decide for themselves, or the community makes a broader consensus about it. Clearly, you know, there have been things that have been played and said on the show that have upset people of all stripes. And so, you know, again, I go back to the fact that, you know, I got in trouble for saying, but what I said was true. Rush Limbaugh, you know, provides a form of entertainment that is provocative, that is controversial, but that is based in politics and the political context. And I think that this satire falls into that box.
But you also said the satire is inappropriate. And further expounds.
I say it's inappropriate. I said what it does is it furthers a stereotype. Now, whether Rush Limbaugh says it or Saturday Night Live does it, or
Rush Limbaugh is not Saturday Night Live, Michael. You know that.
No. I'm not equating the two, but satire is satire. You know, if 90% of what you do is political, and then you also do something that's satirical, it still doesn't change the fact that it's satire. So you got to put it. You want to get to the thing where you have a view of Rush Limbaugh, you have your view of Rush Limbaugh. I'm not going to try to assuage you differently from that view. All I'm telling you, if you ask me a question, I'm just telling you straight up. You know, I'm going to put it until I have further evidence, and you know, my conversations with him and knowing him the way I do, I have a different conclusion. I know.
All right, hold on 1 second, Michael. We got to take a break. We're talking to Michael Steele, former RNC chair and former lieutenant governor for the state of Maryland, and now over at The Root as contributing editor over there. So, Michael, let me get this straight. Okay, yeah. Rush Limbaugh is an entertainer. You don't think he's a racist. You get a different opinion. But when we see this public rush, we start to think that this is racial, that he's using his black guy at this point. You're saying it's satire. You're saying that, you know, it's not really that appropriate, Rob. And you're kind of dancing around it. And you're saying it's also, you know, that this is not something that we should be forwarding. These stereotypes we shouldn't be forwarding. Is it appropriate or not?
Oh, I don't think it's appropriate. I thought it was highly inappropriate. You don't need to do that. I mean, it's just, we're going to translate, now we're going to translate this conversation for all the white folks out there. I mean, it's stupid. I mean, it's not something that, furthers the conversation. You make your point, you move on, unless you're going to put it in the whole thing in the context of some parody or satire or something comedic. What's the point? And so I just, it's unnecessary. I understand what they do and how they do it, but I just think it's unnecessary, particularly given the sensibilities of a lot of people, of all stripes these days about these types of issues. You don't want to be in the business of turning people off to your ideas. You want to turn them on to them. So that's just my view on it.
Real quickly, I want to get your one more thought here on Rand Paul. Rand Paul said this about slavery and health care. Listen.
With regard to the idea of whether or not you have a right to health care, you have to realize what that implies. It's not an abstraction. I'm a physician. That means you have a right to come to my house and conscript me. It means you believe in slavery. It means that you're going to enslave not only me, but the janitor at my hospital, the person who cleans my office, the assistants who work in my office, the nurses.
So you get the point. You probably saw this on the Drudge Report. Your thoughts, you comparing, health care to slavery, that we were going to make him a slave in his own doctor's office?
Yeah, again, I mean, look, it's an analogy to make a point, I guess, but we have to be very smart and sensible about what we compare and contrast to, just as we would not readily jump into comparing something to the Holocaust or something to Nazism. I think the same holds true with respect to slavery and America's history with slavery. And to dumb it down in some way, or to lessen its full impact on this country and certainly on African Americans, to me, is inappropriate and misses the point. And so I think there are other ways to talk about how a heavily bureaucratic, government-controlled and run healthcare system burdens individuals and small businesses, lessens their opportunity for a free market, free enterprise healthcare system than to compare it to slavery. But again, these are things that people need to weigh and consider when they start talking about these substantive political and policy issues.